What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the exclusive segment from the greatest podcast on turf. I'm Ryan.
I'm Anthony, and for today's exclusive segment, we're going to be going through almost all 32 teams and talking about their quarterback controversies they got going on and predict who's going to be the starting quarterback next year. On the podcast, the full episode, we broke down the NFC East like we did last week. The NFC East did the offseason, who they should target in the draft, who they should go for in free agency, all that stuff. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're new. Road to 1,000 subscribers. We're still cruising, kinda. But all right, yeah, let's get into it.
To start us off, I'm going to be talking about the Atlanta Falcons. I kind of think they're going to bring back Matt Ryan. They're paying him a lot of money, but I do think that they're going to stick with him for another year.
At least another year. Yeah.
I think they're going to stick with him and Julio, but I also do think that they're going to draft a quarterback this year to, be Matt Ryan's successor, to sit behind him for a year and not play and learn from him. Because, we saw previously how it works. It worked for Pat Mahomes, so I see them drafting a quarterback since they have the number 4 pick.
Yeah, I agree with this, absolutely. Go back to what you said. Matt Ryan's making a boatload of money for what he brings to the table. He got paid after he won MVP and bought him a Super Bowl. I think he's 35 or like 38 mil this year and 35, like some big amount of money. So I think that they just stick with him this year, and then next year I think they cut him because the dead cap isn't as bad next year if they were to cut him next year. So I think they just stick with him one more year. And like Ryan said, they have the number 4 pick. How the Falcons, on paper, they're all right. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan. They know their defense is not good, but on paper, they're all right. And what are the odds? How often is a team like the Falcons going to have a top 5 pick?
Probably not often.
Not often. So that's what I'm saying. I think they need to take advantage of having the number 4 pick, like you said, and get a quarterback. I think it's going to end up being Justin Fields. Not just because of the fact that he's from Atlanta. I just think he's going to fall to their lap at number 4, depending on how 2 and 3 go, like we touched on in the previous videos. But yeah, so next year, I'm going to go and say that the starting quarterback for the Falcons, week 1, is going to be Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I agree. I could also see Zach Wilson being drafted, but Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, one of them two.
Yeah, I just think that Matt Ryan will be the starter week 1 unless somehow the quarterback comes in training camp and lights it up. And
I think there's no shot in that anyway.
Matt Ryan,
I think Matt
makes
Ryan
him look
started.
terrible, but I'm going to go with Matt Ryan starter.
Me too.
All right, the next team we did, the Carolina Panthers. This one is one of those weird ones. Teddy Bridgewater, he's not the answer to them. He's not going to. I love Teddy Bridgewater. He's a fan favorite. Everyone loves him. He's not that quarterback that's going to get you to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. They just recently cut Shaq Thompson. They recently just cut, was it K1 Short?
I didn't think they cut Shaq Thompson.
I thought they released him.
They cut Trey Boston, and then they cut...
Oh, not Shaq Thompson. It was Trey Boston and K1 Short they cut. Shaq Thompson was the only player left on the roster for the Super Bowl. All right. So they cut Trey Boston, cut K1 Short. Makes it look like they're making a run at Deshaun Watson. That's word around the league, is that they want to make a big run for Deshaun Watson. I don't know how credible the source was. I heard something, or someone said they're willing to go trade 3 firsts and Christian McCaffrey for Deshaun Watson. So, I don't know how true that is, but if that's true, I'm going to go ahead and say Deshaun Watson is going to be their starter, depending on how true that is.
Yeah, I said a couple of weeks ago in the podcast that the Carolina Panthers were my dark horse team to get Deshaun Watson, and I think I'm going to stick with that prediction either way. I think that they should go get him because he's a franchise quarterback. I think it's set in stone. Bring him back to Carolina and, go chase the Super Bowl. I'm not saying you're going to get there this year, but build a team and see what you can do.
Their offense is pretty solid. The receiving core is pretty good. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, both the good receivers. If they end up keeping Christian McCaffrey and getting Deshaun Watson, I think that's a top offense on paper in the league.
Yeah, in defense, they have a couple pieces, Jeremy Chin and Shaq Thompson. So,
and
build
Brian
around
Burns.
Yeah, Brian Burns, and they drafted the guy out of Auburn last year, first pick 8 or something like that. The D tackle.
Derek Brown.
Yeah. So, but that's going to lead us to our next team, the Chicago.
One more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing. I wanted to touch on if they end up don't getting Deshaun Watson and they end up keeping the number 8 pick. If they keep that number 8 pick, I think the only quarterback that's going to be there is Trey Lance, because I don't think Fields or Wilson or Trevor Lawrence fall out of the top 5. So I think if they do end up getting a shot to draft a quarterback, I think it's Trey Lance, and I think if he's there, I think they have to take him. Wouldn't you agree?
I think there's a chance that Zach Wilson falls to
Really?
No, I kind of do, because if you look at the top 5 teams, the Bengals ain't taking nobody. The Jets might not take anybody, so you're going to need to I mean, there's going to be a lot of trade-offs that have to happen for that.
Yeah.
I personally think that Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, one of them two guys, will fall back to 8. That's just my opinion. I think that's who they'll go with.
Word on the street is, I remember seeing last week, and I was so, it blew my mind. There's word around the league that some teams have Zach Wilson as the best quarterback in the class,
Yeah, I saw
which
that
is
too.
absurd. It's Trevor Lawrence, no debate.
No.
All right, we can move on. I'm done.
That's going to lead us to the next team, the Chicago Bears. Personally, for me, I think they kind of rode out Mitch Trubisky as fast as they could, and I think he's going to find a new home. So I think I'm going to go with them either starting Nick Foles or drafting Mac Jones. The thing is, I think Mac Jones might go to Washington, pick 19, so that leads me to think that Nick Foles is going to be the starting quarterback for this team next year. I'm not saying I think that's the right answer, but I think that's going to be the answer, and that's not a good sign.
Well, if you guys have listened to us talk and watched our videos, you know I'm not the biggest Nick Foles guy. He's trash. He's sorry. I'll say it every time he sucks. He's a bum. But my thing is, I think you're 100% right that the Bears kind of got rid of Trubisky as soon as possible. Just because, like I said, every time we talk about him, he had to be good day one after his rookie season because of how good Deshaun Watson and Mahomes were. Which, I mean, that's kind of, you're not every quarterback is a Deshaun Watson or Pat Mahomes. I think that they should stick with Mitch Trubisky and address some other needs, offensive line, help out receivers. You're losing Allen Robinson, and address other needs. And I think they should stick with Mitch Trubisky. But I can see what you're saying about Mac Jones. I don't really know where he's going to go. Like, I've been hearing different stuff. People saw some. I was listening to the podcast, this one podcast. I don't remember what it's called. They were talking about Mac Jones is the third best quarterback in the entire class.
Yeah, Mel Kiper was saying some crazy stuff too. It seems like we don't really know where these quarterbacks are going. Seems like Trevor Lawrence is undoubtedly number one.
Yeah,
and then the rest,
everything, every pick after that, I think it's just.
I've been hearing bad reports about all these guys and good reports about all these guys, so don't really know.
All right, week one, you're thinking leaning more towards Nick Foles being their starting quarterback week one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out, stick with my gut. I'm gonna say that Mitch Trubisky is still the starter for the Bears week one. That's how I think. I think that will be the smartest thing for them to do, and I think they're gonna realize that. I mean, he's not bad. He's been in the playoffs 2 times in 4 years.
Almost brought him to the Super Bowl if it wasn't for a missed kick. So.
Yeah, they would have been playing in the Super Bowl. What was that, 2 years ago now?
I think so.
2 years ago, 2 or 3 years. I think it was 3. They would have been playing in the Super Bowl, and now you're going to get rid of him because he's not Mahomes or Watson. I mean, that's a lot of quarterbacks. Not every quarterback is going to be like them. So I think the Bears are going to be stupid if they get rid of Trubisky. Anything else?
I mean, I think it's going to be Nick Foles, but I would go Trubisky too. But I personally think it's going to be Nick Foles.
Alrighty, for the next one, we got your boys, the Dallas Cowboys. I don't have I have little to nothing to say about this. We talked about it more on the podcast. Dak Prescott's going to be the starter. I think that needs to be their top priority before they do anything else. Go re-sign Dak Prescott and make sure he's your starting quarterback next year.
I agree. I think we definitely have to keep Dak Prescott. Shouldn't be no other answers. That's it. I mean, I don't have much to say about that one.
Enough said.
That's going to lead us to our next team, the Denver Broncos. And he's not going to like what I'm about to say, but Drew Lock did not play great. I don't like Drew Lock personally. I really do not like him. I think that they're going to end up sticking with him though. Just because, I mean, it's hard to get a quarterback, and I think they might give Drew Lock another year. I don't like him personally. I think somebody else would be much better, but I think they're going to stick with him.
All right, Denver Broncos. I think Drew Lock's the starter week one. I want to see what he can do with a healthy squad around him. 2 years ago, his rookie year, he came in for Joe Flacco. After he sucks, he came in for Joe Flacco and went 5-1. All right, last year, up and down, battled some injuries. Team got hurt. His top receivers were Tim Patrick, who had a career year. Jerry Jeudy, rookie, he had a solid year, struggled with some drops. Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon were alternating getting hurt every other week. So there was no really set structure for the team. I want to see what he does getting Cortland Sutton back, getting his team back healthy. I want to see what he does. I like Drew Lock. I think he plays with that. He plays with a little bit of that swagger that like guys like we talked about, like Baker Mayfield has. I think he plays a little bit with that. We saw it back at his college days in Mizzou. I like Drew Lock. I think he's going to be a very successful quarterback in Denver. And I'm going to go with Drew Lock. He's one of my favorite players.
I mean, this is obviously his prove it year. Once he gets all these guys back, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay. Once he gets all these guys back, he has no excuses. I don't think he has it in him. I've watched him in his college days in Missouri. I didn't like him. I don't like SEC quarterbacks really, but this is me.
Like you said it perfect. This is his year. If he, my good buddy Tony, he is a Broncos fan. We talk about it all the time. This is Drew Lock's year. This is Vic Fangio's year. I think they're both on the hot seat. To me, I think if Drew Lock has a bad year or he's playing bad halfway through the season, I mean, who knows what's going to happen. But I think, like Ryan said it best, this is definitely a make or break year for Drew Lock.
For sure.
Alrighty, next team, the Green Bay Packers. I feel like this is a team that shouldn't be on the list at all when you have Aaron Rodgers, who just won the MVP. But at the end of the season, there's some talk. Aaron Rodgers unhappy, this, that. We talked about in a previous video. Management's trying to run him out of there. Who knows? They drafted Jordan Love. I mean, it's more of just like rumors and like little controversies trying to be brought up and made bigger than they are. So I'm going to go and say that Aaron Rodgers is still the starter week 1, and I think that something crazy would have to happen for him to be starting for another team.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing everything that they can do to make him mad and push him out of Green Bay. I do think that they still stick with him, though, because it's hard to move a player like Aaron Rodgers because of the talent that he has. I don't see them just starting Jordan Love and benching Aaron Rodgers. I don't see that at all. I don't really see them trading Aaron Rodgers. It'll be hard to get what he's worth, so I think they're going to stick with him, however unhappy he is.
Yeah.
But that's going to lead us to our next team, the Houston Texans. I personally think that they're going to trade with the Panthers and Sam Watson to Carolina. So I think in return, they'll get Teddy Bridgewater, a couple picks. And I think Teddy Bridgewater would be that bridge quarterback for him this year just to get him through.
Yeah, this one is tough for me because they can't keep Deshaun Watson. If they keep him, he's just going to be there. Like, he's not going to play for them. I think it's well known now that he's not going to play for the Texans, whether they just keep him on the roster to be petty or what. He's not going to play. So, I mean, I like what you said about them trading Bridgewater and getting some picks back. What you said that. He could be their bridge quarterback. I was waiting to say. But no, also, I mean, if they do in some random world or for some reason end up just keeping Deshaun Watson on the roster, I think we could be looking at an A.J. McCarron starter. AJ
I guess it could happen.
But this is probably the toughest one for me to say who's going to be starting for week 1, honestly. So,
yeah, I mean, this one was a hard one for me, but just because I predicted Watson to Carolina, I'm going to go with them getting Teddy Bridgewater in return.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say A.J. McCarron is going to be the starter for the Texans week 1.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Enough said. Alrighty. The Jacksonville Jaguars. 2 words, Trevor Lawrence, enough said. I don't have anything else to say about it. I'm not going to argue it. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the starting quarterback for the Jaguars week 1.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. We'll move on to the Oakland Las Vegas
Ooh,
Raiders.
Whoa. Las Vegas Raiders.
I think that Derek Carr's time is running up for sure. I think they're still going to stick with him, but I also think that they're going to draft his successor this year, whoever that may be. It may be a 4th-round pick. I don't know, it might be a 3rd-round pick. But they're going to try to get somebody else to give them some competition and maybe see if they can take the job from him. Because I don't like Derek Carr personally. I think he's sorry. Anyways, I think he's going to start for him week 1.
I don't think Derek Carr needs competition. You know who his backups are?
Who?
Marcus Mariota, who I'll touch on later. Nathan Peterman's on the roster.
Marcus Mariota's a free agent. He's
Okay.
not coming back.
Nathan Peterman's on the roster, and you're saying he needs competition.
Didn't he throw 6 picks in like a half?
Enough said. I'm gonna say Derek Carr. I'm a big Derek Carr guy. I like him. I don't think he has much left in the tank.
He's not old. He just sucks.
I don't think he has much left in the tank with his time in Las Vegas. Similar to John Gruden. But yeah, I mean, there's not much debate for this one. I think that unless they go and sign like a veteran to give him a run for his money, like Fitzpatrick or Jameis or Cam Newton even, I don't know. I could see Jameis or Fitzpatrick playing there, but I think they're going to stick with Derek Carr.
Yeah, and I really think they'll draft somebody else to back him up and maybe take his job throughout the year. But that's going to lead us to our next team, the Miami Dolphins. I personally think they're going to stick with Tua. I mean, there's reports of them trying to get Watson and stuff like that, but I still think they're going to stick with Tua. I mean, he got him a 10-6 year. Well, him and Fitzpatrick got him a 10-6 year. He didn't play horrible. He kind of provided a spark midway through the season when he beat teams like the Rams, a couple other good teams.
That was his first start, beat the Rams.
Mm-hmm. But Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey still won. So, I mean, I think you have to give him another year no matter what. It seems like they don't like him for whatever reason, but I think you still do give him another year, and I think he's the starter.
Yeah, I think they would be stupid to get rid of Tua this early. I mean, it's been 1 year. He played a little bit over half a season, I think, and you took him at number 3 overall just last year. Like, I think they would be stupid to go trade him right away unless they're getting a guy like Deshaun Watson. I'm not saying stick with Tua over Deshaun Watson by any means, but I'm just saying if they do end up shopping him for whatever reason, or if they do end up bringing Fitzpatrick back, I think it's stupid. I think Tua should be the starter week 1.
I think they should bring Fitzpatrick back, start Tua for the first 3 quarters, and then start Fitzpatrick in the 4th, and they'll win every single game.
Well, how is that going to make Tua feel? You want if you take a, I get it, but you take a quarterback 3 overall.
It was a joke. I'm not being serious. Why would they do that? Has anybody ever done that?
That was a hot. That was a hot take.
That's going to lead us to the next team, the Vikings. For me, I got Kirk Cousins being traded to the 49ers to reunite him with Kyle Shanahan. Not saying it's a good move. I think this is what's going to happen though. So that's going to lead the Vikings quarterback to be Jimmy G, and they're going to be a mediocre team, and that's about the end of it.
I'm going to say Kirk Cousins. He sucks. I mean, doesn't seem like they're getting anywhere. What's their head coach's name? Kubiak?
I'm not sure. But
Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer sucks. Kirk Cousins sucks. They don't seem to be going anywhere. They somehow almost squeal into the playoffs every year. I don't know how. They're an average ass team, and that's
about it.
Alrighty, for the next team, my New England Patriots. This is a tough one for me because I would love nothing more than to get Trey Lance into a Patriots uniform. I don't think he's going to fall to 15. The Patriots are going to have to trade up to get him, but that's not the Patriot way. The Patriots don't trade up. They only go backwards. That's their thing.
And then they draft a kicker in the 5th round.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. We'll take a kicker in the 4th round, we'll say.
4th round.
But for the Patriots starter next year, I'm going to go and say Cam Newton's a starter again. I think if they don't end up trading for a quarterback, I think they run it back with Cam Newton for another year and see what's up. That's not what I want them to do, but I just think that's the Bill Belichick way. I think they're going to stick with Cam for another year and let him rock out.
For me, I think Mitch Trubisky's going to have to find a new home, and I think here it is. I don't know why you hate this if you like Mitch Trubisky in Chicago.
I like him in Chicago. I don't like him in New England.
Look, if Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, and Mitch Trubisky's all right in Chicago, I think he can make this work. That's just me. That's all I got to say.
Next team, the New Orleans Saints. For some reason, people think Taysom Hill is an NFL starting quarterback.
It seems like the Saints think Taysom Hill is an NFL
and I think that they're out of their friggin' minds. I think that the starting quarterback for the Saints next year needs to be Jameis Winston. You bring him back for a year or two. He sat behind Drew Brees, sees how he does. We'll see how he does next year. Even bring him on a 1-year deal like the Patriots did with Cam. Have Jameis for a year. He sat behind Brees. See what he can do. If you're iffy about him, you draft a quarterback like Mac Jones. I've Mac Jones to the Saints a few times. Like I said, I don't know where he's ranked among the quarterbacks or where teams have him going, but I would like to see Mac Jones get drafted to the Saints.
I think it's going to be hard for him to squeeze by Chicago and Washington.
Well,
two
yeah,
teams
absolutely.
that need for a quarterback. But for me, I think it's going to be Jameis Winston, and they'll probably still bring Taysom Hill in on red zone and 4th downs and get it.
Dude, he's not a quarterback. He's a hybrid. He's not a starter.
And they bring him in and then they give him the ball every time. And it never works.
See it coming. It's like, oh, Taysom Hill's in the game. I wonder what they're going to do.
But that's going to lead us to our next team, the New York Giants. I personally think they're going to stick with Daniel Jones. It's kind of a prove year for him, too, because, last year his team got hurt, but, he's still having a lot of mistakes, especially holding on to the ball.
Yeah.
He can't hold on to the ball to save his life. So when he gets Saquon back, hopefully they get him some help in the draft. and it should be kind of a prove year for him.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on it on the podcast too. Like Ryan said, I think he couldn't have said it any better. He's having a prove year too. I think if he doesn't have a good year this year, I think it's like, all right, Giants should start looking in their options, start scouting quarterbacks. I mean, I wouldn't completely rule it out for this year even, but just the way the draft's set up, I think the top quarterbacks are going to go really early, and I say it all the time. I think the top quarterbacks are going to go early. Week 1, Daniel Jones, I think he should be the starter. They're going to have a healthy team back. They're going to get some offensive help in the draft, and I want to see them run it. I think that if the Giants stayed healthy last year, I think that they would have ran away with that division.
Yeah, and I think they have the potential to run away with it this year.
Who's next? Alrighty. Next, we got the other New York team, the Jets. This one, I think that if they're smart, they stick with Sam Darnold. I said it last week. I said it every mock draft we do. If they're smart, they build a team around Sam Darnold. We haven't seen what he's done with a real team around. Was he the number 1 pick? Sam Darnold was a top 3 pick, I think. Maybe number 4.
He was definitely top 5.
He was a top 5 pick, we'll say. And he's never had a real team around him. It's the Jets. They suck. Who's the best receiver that he's played with? Jameson Crowder?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he hasn't really ever had a team around him. He had Le'Veon. It wasn't really Le'Veon. But, I mean, I think that Sam Darnold should be and will be the starter week 1.
Yeah, for me, I think they're going to go with Sam Darnold also because they have a lot of needs, and I think it's going to be another prove year for him. I mean, I've been saying prove year a lot, but I think if Sam Darnold doesn't do it this year, he's gone. And I think if he doesn't do it this year, they're probably going to get another top 5 pick. And if you keep getting top 5 picks, you have to make that change to quarterback, in my opinion.
Well, this one, I think Sam Darnold, I don't think that this year should be his prove it year. The Jets aren't going to go from 2nd overall pick to a deep run in 1 year.
I'm not saying prove it year is a deep run.
Well, yeah, I'm still, though. I get it, but they're not going to go out and win 8 games.
That doesn't. If he wins 6 games and looks all right, then they can bring him back next year. But if he's still seeing ghosts, then he's gone.
Patriots defense had him seeing ghosts.
Yeah, if he says that again, I'm cutting him.
I was listening to Adam Schefter earlier. He said that the Jets don't have a set decision on a quarterback until could it even be leading up to the draft. I heard that they're going out to scout every single top quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. They're going to go scout all them guys and weigh out all their options before making a decision. So I don't think we'll know who the starter is for the Jets up until maybe even after the draft. But I'm going to still go and say Sam Darnold.
Cool with that. But that's going to lead us to the next team, NFC East, Philadelphia Eagles.
Boo.
I personally think that they might look and draft a quarterback, but I think they're going to go with Jalen Hurts. I think he showed enough last year to be the starter for this year. I'm not saying he's going to be a great quarterback, but I think he showed enough to earn the role week 1. The Eagles are in trouble. And Jalen Hurts does not have, I don't think, any weapons anymore. I mean, Miles Sanders and Jalen Reagor, they cut Jackson.
They just cut Alshon a couple hours ago.
So, I mean, the O-line's always hurt. I think they're still going to go with Jalen Hurts and just build the team around because I think they're in full rebuild mode.
Absolutely. This is interesting to me. I was talking to my dad about it earlier because we were talking about Jalen Hurts and I was talking about their cap situation because we talked about it on the pod. And the Eagles said that Jalen Hurts, it's not his spot 100%. And that's saying a lot after you just trade Carson Wentz. What is it, Nate Sudfeld and Jalen Hurts are the quarterbacks? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know if they're going to try and bring someone in from free agency or draft a quarterback. The only quarterback that's going to be there at 6 is probably Trey Lance. So, are you going to go just trade Carson Wentz and go draft another North Dakota State guy? I don't know what they're going to do. I think the Eagles are bottom 2 organization in the league right now with the Texans. Management's horrible. But I'm going to go ahead and say that Jalen Hurts is a starter week 1.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you drafted him in the 2nd round. So why would you do that if you didn't think he had the potential to be a starter?
Absolutely.
And when he played this year, he showed that he could potentially be a starter. So I think you got to roll with him week 1.
Alrighty. And what do we have? 4 teams left? All right.
Yep.
Next up, got the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is another tough one. I don't know what's going on there. The owner or someone said that they don't know what's going on with Big Ben yet. They said they have to sit down and weigh out other options or talk it out. Because I think Ben Roethlisberger is guaranteed, or he has a lot of money left on his contract. I think 32 mil next year maybe. So I don't really know what's going to happen there. There's been some talk about him retiring. We touched on it before. After they lost in the playoffs to the Browns, he was just sitting on the bench kind of like reflecting on his career, the season, like shedding some tears. So I don't know what that means, but I'm going to go ahead and say that Mason Rudolph is the starter week 1 for the Steelers, just because they stuck with him last year when Ben Roethlisberger was hurt. He saw some couple snaps in the games this year, and I think that he's been in the offense long enough where he can get it done for a year, let him be bad, get a decent draft pick to draft a quarterback.
I think that when they meet up, they're going to try to get Big Ben to take a pay cut, and I think he might end up doing that because he should know that he's not worth that amount of money, and I do think he'll be the starter for him next year. I think he's a pretty good game manager. I mean, if they can bring down that salary, then he should be a perfect game manager for him.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, next, the 49ers. I'm going to go say Jimmy Garoppolo, just because I think they just bought him to a big contract. He hasn't been terrible. He's battled some injuries. He was just playing in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and I think a lot of people forget that just because of the noise around the league and like the football world, I guess. But I think Jimmy Garoppolo should and will be their starter week 1 for the 49ers.
I think it's going to be Kirk Cousins. I think that the 49ers are going to make a stupid trade and trade Jimmy G to the Vikings and get Kirk Cousins back with Kyle Shanahan. For whatever reason, I don't like Kirk Cousins. I don't like Jimmy Garoppolo. It's what I think is going to happen. Some other dark horse names, I could see Matt Ryan coming here.
Interesting.
Could see it. I think the 49ers will be dumb to take any of these guys, but I think it might happen.
I think they should stick with Jimmy G.
I don't think Jimmy G is good, but we'll just move on to the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson has had a lot of controversy over these past couple days, couple weeks.
Yeah, right after the Super Bowl.
And I saw a report today that like a lot of GMs, I think half the league or something like that, is asking about Russell Wilson.
Get him in a Patriots jersey.
And the floor seems to be 3 first-round picks, which is reasonable considering Matt Stafford was worth 2. So
and a third, and Jared Goff.
Yeah, so I think that's reasonable, but I do think they're going to stick with Russell Wilson. I think they need to start listening to what he's saying, and I think that they have to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this one needs an explanation, but I'm going to give one anyway, because why not? Like I said, I think it was last week we talked about it during the current events on the podcast. They would be stupid not to listen to Russell Wilson. He's gotten you to the playoffs. He's been to Super Bowls. He's been that guy, and he's been there for so long, and you haven't gotten him any offensive line help. You listen to him, that's your guy. Russell Wilson's second best quarterback in the league, in my opinion, behind Mahomes. So it's like, come on, like, go get him some help.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him being second in the league, but...
Well, no, third. Mahomes, Brady, Wilson.
Okay.
Third.
But that's going to lead us to the next team, the Washington football team.
There you go.
I think that they need a quarterback. I don't see it being Heineke, personally. I don't see it being Alex Smith. It's definitely not Dwayne Haskins.
I forgot the Steelers signed him. I totally forgot. He could be their starter for all we know.
Yeah, I guess. But I think they're going to go out and get free agent Marcus Mariota. He didn't have a great career in Tennessee. He hasn't had a great career in general, but he went to the Raiders, and I think he played pretty good when he played. Wasn't much, showed some flashes. So maybe Washington can try to bring him in and see what he's got, see if he got anything left. I mean, he's young, so let's see if they can maybe get into that potential. And I also could see them drafting Mac Jones, 19th overall. I can see that too.
I actually like that Marcus Mariota pick a lot. I think he would fit good in that Ron Rivera offense. He plays similar to Taylor Heineke, I think, and we saw how he performed against the Bucs. One of the best defenses in football. I mean, he can move outside the pocket, make some throws. But I personally think that I think the Washington football team is going to trade up to number 3, and Justin Fields is going to be their starting quarterback next year. And if they don't trade up, I think it's going to be Cam Newton. Reunite him with Ron Rivera. I've said Cam Newton for the Patriots too. I don't know. I think there's a lot of different options right now, but I think that Justin Fields is going to be their starting quarterback week 1.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it'll be Marcus Mariota, but I could see that.
I think if there's 1 year for them, I mean, they're right there, I think. Their defense is really good. We talked about it on the pod, like a lot of these teams. I think the whole division we talked about was on this list. We talked about it. I think that they just need to go offense. If they can get a quarterback, I think that makes them that much better. Their defense is already there. So I think that if they can trade, this is the year to trade up to get a top quarterback. So I think Justin Fields is going to be the starter for the football team week 1.
I can see it.
Enough said.
That's going to do it for this week's video. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, if you stuck around this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe. This one was a little longer. Appreciate you guys showing love. Go check that link in the description. Watch the full podcast. Listen to that. Keep showing us love. Follow our social medias. Let's keep going. Peace.